Dear President Trump, I address you today as a concerned American deeply invested in upholding the principles enshrined in our Constitution, particularly the protection of individual liberty, family integrity, and the pursuit of happiness. I urge you to address a pressing issue that undermines these values, the arrest and incarceration of individuals for victimless crimes, which inflicts severe collateral harm on families, children, and communities. Constitutional concerns. The enforcement of laws criminalizing consensual or self-regarding acts, such as minor drug possession, nonviolent regulatory offenses, disobedience, or other behaviors lacking a clear victim, raises grave constitutional questions. Fourth Amendment. The arbitrary detention of individuals for acts that harm no one risks violating protections against unreasonable seizures. Fifth and 14th Amendments. Depriving citizens of liberty, livelihoods, and parental rights without due process or a compelling public interest contradicts the guarantee of life, liberty, and property. Eighth Amendment. Subjecting individuals to incarceration and their families to poverty, homelessness, and trauma for nonviolent offenses may constitute cruel and unusual punishment relative to the offense. Ninth Amendment. The right to familial integrity, recognized by the Supreme Court, Troxel versus Granville, is eroded when parents are incarcerated for acts that do not directly harm others. Human and economic costs. The enforcement of victimless crimes devastates American families. Family separation. Over 2.7 million U.S. children have a parent behind bars. Many lose caregivers to incarceration for low-level offenses, destabilizing households, and funneling children into foster systems. Economic collapse. Arrests often lead to job loss, housing insecurity, and debt from court fees, burdens disproportionately borne by minority and working-class communities. Wasted resources. Taxpayer dollars spent prosecuting and incarcerating nonviolent offenders could instead fund rehabilitation, mental health services, and education. Your administration took historic steps toward criminal justice reform with the First Step Act, which recognized the need for proportionality and redemption. Building on this progress, I respectfully urge you to advocate for federal and state reforms to decriminalize victimless acts, prioritizing civil penalties or community-based solutions over incarceration, expand pardons and clemency for nonviolent offenders trapped in a cycle of punishment, particularly those separated from their children. Promote family preservation by directing federal agencies to study and mitigate the collateral consequences of parental incarceration. Challenge profit-driven incentives in policing and incarceration, such as asset forfeiture abuses and private prison contracts. Mr. President, the Constitution charges our leaders with securing the blessings of liberty for all Americans by addressing the systemic harm caused by victimless crime enforcement. You can protect families, strengthen communities, and reaffirm our nation's commitment to justice and human dignity. Thank you for your attention to this urgent matter. I trust you will act in the spirit of the Founding Fathers, who envisioned a government restrained in its power to punish and vigilant in its defense of the vulnerable.